Good evening, everyone. Time is 7:09 p.m. Announced that a quorum is present and call to order this city council regular meeting. We'll begin with invocation and then the pledge of allegiance. Everyone, please stand. Bow your heads. Dear Lord, we just thank you for this opportunity to be here. We thank you for keeping us safe between the last meeting and this meeting. We ask you to continue to give us your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, help us to make wise decisions that not only good for today, but for the years to come. Bless the staff, bless the council, bless the residents, bless our business partners and community members. We thank you for all you're going to do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have a few events coming up the next few days, and some are already underway. Council members, movie night out June 13th through August 8th, our annual movie at Timmerman Park. I think the other night it was, you want to come up? I'm waiting on you to come up. I think the other night I drove by, people were out there, but then the rain came. So, but go ahead. How you doing?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. So my name is Melissa Sanchez, and I'm the Public Works Administrative Assistant. And like you just announced, we are excited to announce that the city will be hosting a movie night out this summer. The event will take place on select Fridays from June 13th through August 8th at Timmerman Park, located at 12616 Skimmer Run. This is a free event open to the public. We will be providing popcorn and refreshments to enhance the movie experience. For more details, you can visit our city page and Facebook. A special thanks to our HR department for creating the event page and helping coordinate this fun summer activity. And to our IT department that also helps set up the movie equipment. So we look forward to seeing the community come together for these enjoyable summer Friday evenings. Hope to see you guys there.
Thank you.
So
Thank y'all for all you're doing.
Yeah.
Any questions for him? All the flyers for the events, have y'all sent it to us separate as links so we can post? Okay. All right. Awesome. Any questions? All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on. Event number 2. We have Juneteenth celebration, June 19th, 2025 at Timmerman Park. Ms. Tracy.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tracy Vasquez, HR Director here with the city. I did want to say a special thank you as well to our whole city team, especially Melissa, Timmy, our Parks Department, our streets. We're in this transition of being without an events coordinator. It's been a lot of work, and I could not do it without our fabulous team and y'all's support as well. So thank you so much for everything. Tomorrow is our annual Juneteenth celebration. So excited. We've got a full day plan. We've got water slides, bouncy houses, vendors. We are hosting as well the children's market again at this specific event. They won't be out until later in the afternoon at 4, so they'll join us from 5 to 8. We have invocation and the mayor's proclamation from 12 to 12:30. We've got several different entertainment acts this year, especially a couple that are fresh to us this year. We've got gospel rap, and we have actually African dancers coming in at 4 o'clock. So a lot of fun, a lot of free stuff. Y'all come on out, enjoy, bring your family, bring your friends. We've been posting everywhere. We just learned how to post it on YouTube today, so we're moving it.
Awesome. All right. Any questions, council members?
Do we have any flyers in Spanish as well?
I do not. We will work on that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have our 4th of July celebration, item C.
All right. So this is our actual annual 4th of July celebration. It's going to be at our EMD1 out there at 15317 US Highway 290 East. It will be on Friday the 4th. The hours will be from 4 to 10. We're going to have live performances. Our band this year is going to be Bitty Bitty Banda. We've had them at several of our previous events. Several food trucks, market. We've got the Kids Zone again. We've got several of the new local businesses coming out to join in with the Kids Zone. One in particular is going to be Home Depot. They're going to set up a little place where they can build little things, and it's going to be really exciting. We will have characters back. We've got Spider-Man, Wonder Woman. We've got the skydiving show coming back, and of course, the best fireworks in Texas. So everybody come on out and enjoy.
All right. Any questions, council members? All right. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
And thank you all for your hard work. Public comments. Non-agenda items are for public comments will be on the white card. Agenda item, public comments will be on the yellow card. We have 2 public comments for today. Comments will be taken from the audience on non-agenda related topics for a length of time not to exceed 3 minutes. So when I call your name, you'll come up and you'll have 3 minutes to share. All right. First up is Miss Faye Carter.
Hello,
ma'am.
everybody. Happy Juneteenth, and thank you all for your service, what you do for the community. I didn't know about the Juneteenth, the public one, but we'll get the family for the 4th of July one. We already had plans in our home, and so I just want to encourage all of us to. You're already doing a great job, but I just want to encourage everybody that this is an American holiday. It's not just for one group of people, but it's for all of us Americans. I Googled who all participated in the Civil War. I found out it was Asians, it was Native Americans, it was Spanish, it was Black, Hispanic, white. It was just an American emancipation. So I just give God all praise and glory for that. And what we want to do to celebrate is enjoy, dance, love, forgive, unite, pray for a safe time. Last year, it was 2 murders and a lot of injuries. So we really need to pray as a community and as a country that people will be safe. And we just I already got my potato salad made, and my grandson made a red cake, and I found out the barbecue, the watermelon, the red soda water, that's because of the blood that was shed at in that war, and so they used a lot of red things. So we'll eat first. You might want to know how you celebrate. We'll eat first, then we'll do our dance. Living in America by James Brown. That's a lot of exercise. So we'll probably have to get another plate. And then our other dance would be what them boots said. What them fans said, boots on the ground. We'll probably do that one. So it's just going to be a lot of fun and love. And so I just want everybody to celebrate and come together as a country and realize we have a lot more together than we do separate. And Jesus said a country divided against itself, it destroys its own self. So the enemy can just sit there and look while you destroy yourself and just come in and pick up the spoils. But we're not going to let that happen, right? Okay, happy Juneteenth. God bless America and hook 'em horns. That's what I want to do.
Thank you. All right, next we have, is it Ira Frey? Tell me how you pronounce your last name. Fraley, thank you. Ira Fraley.
Try not to take up too much of your time. Yeah, I kind of had the same thought that, July 4th is coming up, and with all the craziness going on these days, that it would be, I didn't really know what to do to be like civically engaged, and I figured that, government starts local, so I'm here. I had a bunch of ideas about what I wanted to ask for, and while I was Googling, I found that what I wanted was already here. Travis County, a couple of days ago, issued a proclamation about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and everyone's right to the fundamental rights, Fifth and 14th Amendment. I was hoping that you guys would consider either a similar statement or maybe signing onto this statement to just kind of let everyone in the community know that the city stands behind its citizens, and because I don't know if I'm living in a social media bubble or not, but it seems like everything's going crazy these days. So I don't know if I can submit this to some sort of record or whatever, but I thank you all for everything you do.
Thank you, sir. All right. We're going to move on to our public hearings. Number one, public hearing on a preliminary plat amendment for Monarch Ranch subdivision, 400 lots on 120.833 acres, more or less, and being located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Greg Lane and FM 973 in Maynard, Texas.
Mayor Council, my name is Michael Burrell, the Development Services Director for the City of Maynard. This item is a complement to an item that was brought previously, which was a correction to the concept plan. There was additional acquisition of right-of-way along Greg Lane, which shifted their lots and altered some of the sizing. This is to correct that and accurately reflect it on the plats and plans submitted to the city.
Any questions, council members? Being none, we have a motion to close the public hearing.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 1.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Any questions is there a second?
I second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Emily Hill. Any questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right. Moving right along to one second. All right. Moving right along to public hearing number 2. Conduct a public hearing on a specific use permit for a commercial gas station development to include 8 MPDs and 4 EV stations in the Oakland subdivision on one lot on 4.111 acres, more or less, and been located at northwest intersection of Old Maynard Taylor Road and FM 973 Maynard, Texas. Yes, sir.
Yes, it is actually the request of staff to leave the public hearing open on this item. The previous Planning and Zoning Commission meeting did not have a quorum, and unlike public hearing item number 1, since it's not a plat, there's no provision in our code that allows for it to proceed. So the request is to leave the public hearing open and then have the public hearing and regular agenda item on the July 16th meeting after this is brought to the Planning and Zoning Commission for consideration.
Okay.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we leave public hearing item number 2 open until the July 16th meeting.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Number 3, conduct a public hearing on a preliminary plat amendment for Charlotte Glen Phase 3, Sections 3 through 8, being 690 lots on 247.029 acres more or less, and being generally located at the east Fuchs Grove Road to the north of Rector Loop, to the west of Mystic Grove Boulevard, and to south of Arnhem Lane, Maynard, Texas. Yes, sir.
Staff is actually requesting this item be pulled completely from the agenda, along with item number 10, as I believe the regular hearing item. It was reviewed and approved by our engineers, but before the item was brought to even P&Z, they wanted to make additional changes to the plat, and it didn't make sense to bring it for consideration if they were going to be altered and brought before you again within 1 to 2 months.
Okay, so we opened it, so we just need to vote to close it.
Mayor,
Okay.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we close
Public hearing.
public hearing item number 3.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesquer. Any questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. All the following items on consent agenda is considered to be self-explanatory by the council and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion on items unless requested by the mayor or a council member, in which the items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Number 4, consideration, discussion, possible action on to approve city council minutes, June 4th, city council regular meeting. 5, consideration, discussion, and possible action on accepting May 2025 city council monthly reports. 6, consideration, discussion, and possible action on accepting May 2025 departmental reports. 7, consideration, discussion, possible action on regarding a letter of support to the Travis County Active Transportation Plan 2050 project. Can you tell us more about number 7, sir, for the public record?
Yes, sir. For the record, the county had reached out to the city to request a letter of support for their plan. They're in the process of applying for a grant, and they wanted a letter of support from the municipality, and the due date was today. And so we wanted to put on the agenda that we would be supporting, would seek the council support for this item.
Okay. Does their 2050 plan include work on 290?
That we haven't seen any preliminary, but I think they're going to have some public engagement opportunities to share that plan with the public.
Okay. I definitely want to have more conversation about number 7 briefly. So can we have a motion on the floor for approving consent agenda items 4 through 6?
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items for number 4 through 6.
A motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesquer. Any questions to the motion? Questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Back to item number 7, which is consideration, discussion, possible action regarding letter of support of Travis County Active Transportation Plan 2050. What are they asking us to, or what are they in return? Are they giving us anything in return, or offering anything in return for our support?
I think if it came down to someone from Maynard, in this case, wanted to be in an advisory role, we can ask if anyone from Maynard would be, if there's an opportunity for residents from Maynard to participate at that level, at advisory level. And in the past, I'm not sure if that has ever been the case when there's studies done by the county or any other entity. If Maynard had a seat, I think similar to their bond package, they tried to get a representative from the city. But even for this transportation plan, I think we can ask the question: do they want just a regular citizen, or they want business, or they want somebody in the community to serve an advisory role to have a voice for Maynard?
So, Mr. Moore, is there hopes in bringing back a more robust transportation that would take people further and do like how the cart, like years ago we had carts coming here, and that was one transportation that would take some of our seniors and those disabled in and out. Is it trying to do something like that?
I think it's to study the different modes of transportation, and you know, the county went through that rush in 23 to get the bonds passed for their trails and pathways. Is they're trying to figure out, is there anything else the county could do to expand that footprint? Because I think in the past they've talked, since I've been here in 22, they've talked about having a trail from Pflugerville all the way down to the Colorado River, and that's going to require coming down through Gillian Creek and studying that all the way through Manor to get down to the Colorado River, and that's over a 20-mile trail. So anything related to that type of planning, they need a plan. And so this gives our citizens an opportunity to participate in that process to say what other transportation modes are available. And if it's carts or anything else, we can bring it up, because there's needs for us besides trails. We want to make sure we have voice those concerns. If they're going to have a plan with Manor's input, we want to be in a position to say there's other needs that haven't been met, but you want our input. Because most of these grants that you apply for, they want to make sure they have something to say that they got the community support.
I would have to say that I have a little bit of concern with them asking us for a letter of support and not giving us any kind of idea on what they would be trying to offer Manor. Because a trail is nice, but we need definitely more connectivity between us and Austin, and in a more timely manner, I should say. The buses we have, we have a couple of buses, but they're not in a timely manner for people to come and go as they need.
Right. And without seeing the previous plan, if it was 2035 or 2025, whatever the previous plans were, because usually every 10 years they may have a 2040 plan. We might have to get a copy of the 2040 plan to see what exactly was the plan, what input they received from the city. And again, that's if there's going to be an opportunity to have public engagement, we can use that document for the public to say, look at the 2040 document to see what can be added to it, and then have that engagement piece. Because what we talked about during our budget process, can we get our citizens engaged on things that can see a benefit to Manor rather than other parts of the county?
Just me personally, I have a problem with them asking us for support before giving us any idea on what they intend to do.
Right. And I think we can say one thing, if there's going to be some public engagement, have a facility to be able to host those opportunities here at City Hall or at the school or at the Lions Club, so that way residents from Manor don't have to travel to give their input. So anything else that we do to be engaging, I think that's the council's prerogative to request it to be here in Manor. Because if they want our input, we shouldn't have to go into Austin or Pflugerville to be able to participate in this process.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be something that I would look forward, is to have some sort of town hall or something here in town, so that way our residents and the city can attend and voice our opinions.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I can suggest before I send a letter back, is to give us some dates in which those public engagement opportunities will take place here in Manor.
Yeah. I'm also concerned about what the language of connecting transportation networks, active transportation networks managed by municipalities. That is my concern. That particular language, because the letter of support says that that's our intentions. And in the current active transportation network that exists, voters don't have a say in the transportation services that they have access to. They can't ask for additional routes to go to the HEB or to Home Depot. The kids can't ask for additional routes to get to jobs or internships. Parents can't ask for them to stop letting kids ride the transportation during school. It creating a truancy problem. And so, asking to sign on for something where the public hasn't already been consulted. Most grant applications already ask you about certain components, and so they have the grant app. Whoever the grantor has a thing that they want to do, and you have to have information that you're putting in the application, your program of study. And it would have been awesome if if they had shared that with us, or if there was something we could kind of reference or go to right now to kind of see what the intentions were. On the flip side, I agree with my colleagues and I like how the draft letter talks about the advisory group will work with stakeholders and public and the public to identify needs, and that it's going to be engaged. Stakeholder group that it includes local jurisdictions, which is us, implementing agencies, school districts, and nonprofits to inform plan development. I definitely like that piece. But I am a little bit concerned, just because of that one particular line. And I don't know since it's our letter, if we can adjust the letter to actually say the parts we do support, so that it doesn't become something that's and so what we do support and what we would, what we are hoped, how we prefer to be engaged in the future, a little bit more specific. Town halls in the city, in an intense effort to engage residents, because stakeholder advisory groups are people that are picked to be on the advisory team, and we want to ensure that our residents are constantly being asked about their needs, versus some advisory groups always kind of tend to have a lot more Austin people than Manor people, which lends itself to roads and stuff not being picked. And we went through this with the bond advisory committee, where the $533 million were bonded off of all of our county dollars, and $0 of that bond came to Manor, because 12 of the 13 people were in Austin. So the language says to me the same thing will happen again. So I think in our letter we need to be specific that we want to work with the county, we want to have connectivity, but we also need to make sure that local government, Manor, I would call out the specific school districts, so we know for sure that we're saying we support this because these people are going to be involved. Residents will be engaged in within the boundaries of the city limits, frequently. And I think those pieces will give me comfort, but I think we should take out the language about the active transportation network, because we actually don't manage it. The legislators, they had lobbied, and now the legislator gives them full authority to manage themselves. Mm-hmm. So that's not an accurate statement. Thoughts, comments, other council members? Yes, ma'am.
So is it already confirmed that we concur with this 2050 plan? I'm looking it up over here from the one that they had before, and had some things in here as some of their thoughts but I guess it only went to 2045. But I guess there's an update for 2050, but it's not on there yet.
Well, so there's two,
Okay.
and that's some of the clarification that is not provided. Is this actually for 2050 county plan, or is it for the 2050 TxDOT plan? That's the clarification, because they mention TxDOT here, but they say Travis County Active Transportation Plan.
Right. I
2050.
think the grant comes through TxDOT, but it's the county's. That's the county's plan.
Okay, because that's not the county's plan is not available via search. The 2050 plan is, and we know that the 2050 plan does not have improvements for Highway 290 for TxDOT. And I personally can't vote for anything that's not going to fix 290.
Yes. And on their previous 2045, it's not there.
It's not there either. It's not on
Any
any
of
of the
them.
plans for what. No matter what year you pull up, 290 is not on any of the plans, and so
It
you know,
mentioned
and
they
it's not
unincorporated.
for everyone in the audience and everyone watching this live stream. It's not that we don't value partnerships with the county. We just have very clear directives from our residents from being in person, or communication through social media, or here at these council meetings, to prioritize fixing traffic, and that's solutions on 290. And so letters of support that deviate attention away from solutions on 290 can prove to be hazardous to us, because funds will be reallocated to a plan that we have not been able to see nor know the priority for. And that's not a good thing for us to blindly invest in something where they could come back and say, we're back on the green line. And the green line is going to be 30 years out. And so all TxDOT dollars are going to go to green line, and 290 is going to stay bogged down. And we've given a lot of money to the green line, over $2 million a year since, the 90s, and we have nothing to show for it. So the city has to start, stepping out and being a little bit courageous in regards to the requests that people are asking for. They have to be a little bit more specific with us. If it's not going to address 290, if it's not going to be in the plan, then they have to explain to us why it's going to be helpful for us.
I think also kind of like how we did with senior access, if someone's asking for a letter of support, if they can send a representative here to talk to us.
Yeah. We cover additional costs to ensure that our seniors are getting places, because the Managing Transportation Authority does not take care of our seniors in this area. So we pay additional dollars to take care of our seniors. And we had them come ask for those additional dollars. So someone should have had the courtesy to come and say, hey, this is what we would like to do, and this is what we're trying to do. Again, love the county, want to work with everybody, but we got to get 290 fixed. So I don't know what that means for the letter.
You said that this letter was due today.
They had a deadline that was due today, but in most cases, if the application is not due until July, I think they just want to have enough time we can ask the representative for that direct input, or have them be present at the July 2nd meeting. If a letter from Maynard is that important, there's some important questions that we need to ask, because the question is, before you got on council and before Maynard got to the growth that it is today, and we look at 290 West and we look at 290 East, and we see the plan for Travis County 290 West has but there's nothing on for 290 East. And so it's again, for us, we want to make sure our residents know that the letter is just to make sure we have a conversation. We're not doing things blindly per se, but to make sure we want to be supported, but they need to come to and ask how our voice and how our support is going to be a benefit.
Well, we know in 2017, previous leadership did do some supporting letters when they were here, and that led to more debt to the city. and an increase in cost in transportation services. And so, and they were told one thing, and then another thing happened. You know, we were supposed to be able to do a park over downtown and have, you know, something off the rail. It was supposed to be this park and all these kinds of things, and all that stuff was blocked and denied. So, but money is still going. We're still, our residents, our taxes, our sales taxes are still going out, and we still aren't getting anything. So we have to make sure we don't blindly do that again as a community.
So can we, since this is a consent agenda item, can we, it was pulled? Okay.
Yeah, I pulled it from before the vote. We did 4 through 6. So we can give direction and
To have
and
them
let
come
that
back
be it.
and give us some information.
Yeah. That work? All right. Again, to everybody in the public, we love our stakeholders. We just have major needs for our city, and how a collective solution on 290 is the most important thing we need from our transportation partners. All right. Yes, ma'am. Do we need to take a vote on it because it's a consent agenda?
No, sir, Mayor and council members, Veronica Rivera, Assistant City Attorney. The only thing that I would ask, if you'd like to make a motion to have something back to you on the July 2nd or a presentation on July 2nd, that way you have a date certain. If not, direction has been given to staff to bring you more information.
Councilwoman Wallace.
I'd like to make a motion that we have a representative from the county come and give us some information on how our letter of support will help enhance the transportation issues that we have here in the city of Maynard.
Well, motion on the floor by Councilwoman.
And have them come back July 2nd.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
Second.
Who's that? Councilwoman, second by Councilwoman Ware. Any questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Number 8, regular agenda item, consideration, discussion, possible action on a preliminary plat agreement, Monarch Ranch, subdivision 400 acres on lots 400 lots on 120.833 acres, more or less, being located at southwest corner of the intersection of Greg Lane and FM 973 Maynard, Texas. Yes, sir.
Mayor, Council, this is the regular hearing item for item number 1. I did neglect to mention earlier, it also corrects the duplicate naming of a street within the subdivision so that there's no issue with addressing.
Okay. Council members, did you have any questions about this plat amendment? All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that City Council approve a preliminary plat amendment for the Monarch Ranch subdivision, 400 lots on 120.833 acres, more or less, being located at the southwest corner of the intersection of Greg Lane and FM 973 Maynard, Texas.
Motion on the floor by Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Any questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 9 and 10, do we need to postpone to a different date?
Number 9 needs to be postponed to July 16th. Number 10 just needs to be pulled from the agenda.
Okay, so we'll pull number 10. Number 9, I need a motion to postpone item number 9 to July 16th.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone item number 9 to our July 16th council meeting.
Well, motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Messmer. Any questions to the motion? No questions. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 11, second and final reading, consideration, discussion, possible action. Do I need to vote to pull it? Okay. Second and final reading, consideration, discussion, possible action on an ordinance rezoning the Manor Heights subdivision being located to the northeast of the intersection of US Highway 290 and Old Kimbrough Road, Manor, Texas, from Planned Unit Development PUD to Planned Unit Development PUD. Yes, sir.
This item is the second and final reading of the addition of the Nagel Estates to the current Manor Heights PUD. This would be phases 7 and 8.
Any additional questions to this second and final reading, council members? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor and Council would like to make a motion that we approve the second and final reading of ordinance number 790, amending ordinance number 534 and ordinance 721 to modify the planned unit development land use plan for the Manor Heights development, rezoning from planned unit development PUD to planned unit development PUD with the proper phasing depicted on the map, being located to the northeast of the intersection of US Highway 290 and Old Kimbrough Road, Manor, Texas.
Well, motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesquite. Any questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to item number 12, consideration, discussion, possible action on ordinance amending chapter 15 site development and of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Manor, Texas, providing for the amendment of off-site signs and variances, providing for servability, savings, open meetings, and effective date clauses, and providing for related matters. Yes, sir.
Mayor, Council, this item pertains in part to the St. David's sign variance. Currently, the only way to apply for a variance is to have an appearance before the Board of Adjustments. We do not have enough members to constitute a Board of Adjustments, so this change in our ordinance would allow the council to meet and consider sign variances specifically in the event that we can't have the board meet. It is also an alteration to the section of our code that pertains to off-site signs, which are essentially billboards. Right now, our code is very restrictive that if you even look at a billboard, it has to come down. So this amendment would allow the council to consider the relocation of existing billboards that are already in our city limits to other locations. But it would have to come to the council for their consideration and approval.
All right. Questions, council members? If there's no additional questions, I know we discussed this 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. Entertain a motion or a question.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 791, amending chapter 15, site development of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Manor, Texas, by providing for the amendment of off-site signs and variances, providing for servability, savings, open meetings, and effective date clauses, and providing for related matters.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Any questions to the motion? Questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving right along to item number 13. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on ordinance correcting the name of the 50-foot right-of-way on the final plats Village at Manor Commons Phase 2 and Village at Manor Commons Phase 3 to Cockatoo Crossing, and providing for related matters. Any additional questions about this one, council members? I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 792, correcting the name of the 50-foot right-of-way on the final plats Village at Manor Commons Phase 2 and the Village at Manor Commons Phase 3 as Cockatoo Crossing, and authorizing the city manager to implement the necessary actions for signage, notification, and updates.
Well, motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Mesmer. Any questions to the motion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So the name will be changed to Manor Crossing 2?
Cockatoo. In the subdivision. So there's an issue where on the plats, it was not spelled the same way on both documents. And because of that, City of Austin addressing has been having issues. Street blades have been incorrectly labeled, and the people who live on this street in the subdivision can't have anything delivered because there's different records for how it's spelled, so they can't be found. This is just to correct that.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Drop something there. Fell under there. All right. Other questions? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving right along to item number 14. And just so you know, council members, we do have Ms. Brown here from St. David's if you have specific questions for her. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on the commercial sign variance to the City Sites Development Code for St. David's Emergency Medical Facility. Yes, sir.
Mayor, Council, this is the item that came on the first meeting of the month to allow for a variance to our code to allow for a larger sign that's also slightly taller for St. David's minor or emergency center. The previous item that was just approved allows for the council to make decisions on the item.
Please note for the record, council member, that on the comments card that Ms. Brown said she's available for questions, but she's here for support of the item. Are there any additional questions?
Is this the one where we asked them if there was any other place they could place the sign other than where they were looking at placing the sign?
Yes, so this item specifically would allow for the height variance as well as the sizing, but the location is to be determined just to ensure that there's no issue with utilities or easements, things of that nature.
Okay.
And to also account for the potential widening of 290 and Greg Manor.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, council members?
What
Yes,
is
ma'am.
this material going to be made out of?
Good evening, City Manager, Mayor, Council, April Brown on behalf of St. David's. Give me just 1 second and I'll pull out some of the specs.
So, which are you asking about, the poles or the sign?
I think both. But also, just in general, we have very high winds and that come through this area, and there's not really anything for it to be in the spaces that were suggested before. If anything should happen to that sign itself, could cause major damage to a lot of places surrounding it. And even with the height, we saw pictures last time we were here, and there was more reason to have you showed us the one that there was a sign that was in Bastrop, and it was pretty high, and it was reason enough because the trees there, they're pretty piney and they're very high, but we don't really have that here. And I guess also with signs, especially ones that are emergency centers versus some of the other urgent cares, there's that 24-hour lighting on emergency signs, so you can see it and you'll be able to see it in our area. So the distance of being able, because of the brightness of the sign anyway, I think we would be able to see it, but and the height of being as tall as it is may not be required. Again, until we get something better happening on our side, the most concern I would have if it was an emergency and getting to this space is making sure I stopped at the light that was to turn there, because there's no other turn unless you get to you have to go all the way down to 290, turn around, or Palmer, and turn around and come back. And so I think that was, so my first one was the material, just because of the concern of having to make sure that it's going to be definitely wind resistant. Like we've seen some of the ones that are further down the street and they've had their wind damage and things like that. But with that one even being higher and maybe not as dense in areas, than just the concern, or just being willing to put in whatever materials needed at whatever cost to make sure that it's as sturdy as possible.
Yes, ma'am. You're correct. Okay.
So to that point, in our code, even and additionally, when you apply for the sign, you have to have your structure inspected both before you pour and after. You have your pier and footing. You have the material. Like there are certain guidelines we have in place to prevent accidents such as that from occurring. And though we haven't officially looked at the sign material yet, because right now we're applying for the variance, the rest of the review comes after they're able to actually apply. We have not only our code of ordinance, but building code and other standards set by state and the international level that have certain requirements for the signage that they're proposing. We even have standards in place for the brightness of a sign. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of our signs don't tend to blind you when you're going down 290, because we require, if you have a white background, it has to be opaque, or if it's some other color, it can't shine directly through. So.
Former P&Z, I know. Okay, but if she does know what the material would be, that would be great.
Yes, I don't have the materials on me. I'm happy to email that, because we have a package that's already in that staff is starting to review for the wall sign. The contractor that St. David's uses this is what they do. They make signs, and the way that they make them, for a little bit of background, I'm not a sign engineer, but just from what I have seen from the drawings, they put the sign several feet into the ground, and it's very wide. So it has a really wide base. And they make the material to be wind resistant. They make the material. I mean, this sign is very expensive. It would behoove them to make sure that nothing happens to it, because replacement, just for even more context, the reason we're doing this now, even though it's still under construction for several months, is that the signs take 8 months just to manufacture. So there's a lot of work going into it. Like I said, I'm happy to email you guys the specs and the application so you can review that further.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions, council members? Okay, sounds like we have a request to definitely get the specs of the sign delivered out to council members when you all can. I think Councilwoman Hill, there's a page in our backup.
I was just about to mention that.
If you look at the, I think it says 276, 276. That it gives you some data in regards to what Ms. Brown was sharing in regards to the depth of the grade. So grade is at the ground level, so it looks like we're going 8 feet into the ground. The ditch they're going into is 3 feet wide, and then the pole is 10 inches in circumference. So that's what's all underground, and then they're building up from there for the sturdiness. So,
if I may, there's also a section, I don't know if I have the same page, I'm looking at the HTML version, but it has signage details, and the cabinet is intended to be made with translucent acrylic faces, 2-inch retainers, surround, and sign is double-sided. So acrylic would be the sign face.
Aluminum.
Cabinet.
Is the
No,
cabinet.
aluminum cabinet.
Cabinet is aluminum.
I saw that.
Okay. But are there any other specific parts you want to know, so they can make sure that that's
No, just whatever she was going to provide.
okay. All right. Any other questions, council members?
I think my last comment is just that I would feel a little bit more comfortable having a 35-foot or awarding the variance with better knowledge of the location that it would be still.
Yeah, and I think this is lower than what we initially brought up.
Yes, sir. The initial request was for 40 feet. The council requested a 35-foot tall sign.
I think what part of the concern is that top part's going to be aluminum, and with the high winds, it's also going to be near power lines and things of that nature. So if any pieces of it fall off, there's a possibility of it hitting those things.
So per our code, we do have a requirement that your signage not be in your building setback. And fronting 290, you have a 25-foot building setback that typically accounts for your easements, utility lines, things of that nature. And staff is more than willing to work with them on placing it somewhere within either one of their parking islands or somewhere reasonable so that there's not the risk of any detrimental damage or citywide power outages.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the positive of a new install versus the older install. That I think y'all are probably thinking about when the storm hit and they caused for that thing to fall. So, and rightfully so, we should be thinking about that. All right, any other questions?
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the commercial sign variance to the city site development code for St. David's Emergency Medical Facility with a reduction of the requested height to 35 feet.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Hill. Any questions to the motion? Just as a reminder, we have direction on getting this specifications out to council members. No questions to the motion? Being none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6-1.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 15. Consideration, discussion, possible action on selecting an appraiser for the Lagos Public Improvement District PID area number 1. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mayor, City Council. There's a proposed letter from to select a developer for the PID for the Lagos Public Improvement District, and we recommend using Freilux. We have used them before, and in your packet they provides the engagement letter for that specific project.
Okay. Questions, council members? We're familiar with bringing in appraiser for PIDs. You got any specific questions?
Which of our other PIDs has used this company billing?
We have used them in the other Manor Heights.
Mayor, council members, let me assist. We recently, or you recently approved them to use them for New Haven, and they have been used recently for Entrada Glen for the more recent appraisal, and yes, for Manor Heights, the later bond issuances, because we've had 3 or 4 bond issuances already on Manor Heights, and then they are also being used for Mustang Valley.
I knew about 2 of them. I don't think I remembered the third one. Thank you.
All right, other questions, council members? If not, I entertain a motion.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the selection of Flato as the appraiser for the Lagos Pit Improvement Area Number 1 and authorize the city manager to enter and execute the engagement letter for appraisal services with Flato Realty Advisors LLC.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Ware. Any questions to the motion? No questions to the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Consideration, discussion, possible action on appraiser for the New Haven Public Improvement District. Yes, ma'am. This is same request for Flato Realty Advisors. Any questions, council members?
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the selection of Flato as the appraiser for the New Haven Pit Improvement Area Number 1 and authorize the city manager to enter and execute the engagement letter for appraisal services with Flato Realty Advisors LLC.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Any question? Is there a second? Is there a second?
I second.
Oh, there we go. Second by Councilwoman Messmer. Any questions to the motion? No questions. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Consider discussion and possible action on the third amendment to letter of intent for the purchase of approximately 8.43 acres of land out of 84.3 acre tract land situated at AC Caldwell Survey Abstract 154 in Travis County. Council member, this is that land that we talked about in that 8 acre development. And yes, ma'am.
I'm only here to answer questions since Mr. Jones is not available.
Okay. Looks like we're process requires they're asking for a little bit more time until September. Y'all good with that? All right, I entertain the motion for extending it to September.
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the third amendment to the letter of intent as to form for the purchase of approximately 8.43 acres of land out of an 84.30 acre tract of land situated in the AC Caldwell Survey, Abstract 154, in Travis County, and authorize the city manager to execute the amendment once finalized.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Moreno. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Weir. Any questions to the motion? No questions. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right, moving on to number 18. Consider discussion possible action on purchasing a crane service body truck for lifting and moving pumps, motors, and other equipment components of water and wastewater systems.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We're here to get your blessing on purchasing a crane service body truck. I know we have a lot of information here for you, and I want to commend my staff. There, you can see the support I've got, and I do want to have Daniel pass out some of the material he has put together to show what this truck can do for our utility department.
Okay.
Daniel, if you would just pass that out, please. Kind of give you a brief. We did kind of explain that this truck we could use this truck pretty much well daily. It's for anything to pulling wastewater pumps, or pumps at our wastewater plant. It could be utilized we're doing repairs on fire hydrants, water pipes, water valves. There's a lot of work that we've done on our wells when we could have utilized this piece of equipment instead of having to use a backhoe or something like that to pick up pipe. Daniel did do also, we did figure out the totals that it could save in a year is actually over 32,000 when we started adding extra stuff that we started looking at digging deeper and deeper to it. That 32 instead of the 27 is that just alone was just some of the repair work we had to do at the pumps at the wastewater plant. So, and when we have also, usually when you call them out, it's a 4-hour minimum. It's usually an hour, if not more, to get them out at site to actually pull a pump or do work. You'll kind of see the rates that they do. One thing I did want to kind of add with some of his stuff that he did change in there is that we did have our leak detection report come in finally, and we had 37 fire hydrants that we needed to work on. And I'm proud of the guys right now. They've actually repaired 14 of them.
How far does the arm extend out?
I do believe I just asked that. Was that 8 feet? 30 feet? I'm way off. 30 feet.
30 feet?
Yes. I'm glad he did
And then
research
the
when he's here.
the weight?
Yes, sir. I do have he even made me a little sheet I could look at too. Pretty fancy. The lift station pumps, I will have to get the pounds, but he even wrote down how much of the pump is. The lift station is 800 to 1,000 pounds. The fire hydrant assembly is 600 to 700 pounds. The 16-inch gate valve is 900 pounds. Just a joint of DI pipe is 1,200 pounds. At full reach, the crane has a capacity of reaching 1,565 pounds, and that's fully extended. Did I get that correct?
So at 30 feet, it can do 1,500.
Yes, sir.
When it's pulled in, it can do more than that.
Yes, sir.
Which one is that? Is that the 8,600 pounds when it's pulled in, or is that right? Okay.
I would assume it's a lot more once it's pulled in. 8,600 pounds.
He nodding behind you.
Yep. I appreciate it.
Okay. Questions, council members?
What's the annual maintenance for this, and is there any warranty?
Yes, sir. There is a 3-year, 36-mile bumper to bumper. That's 5 years, 60-mile powertrains, 5 year, 60-mile for roadside, 5 year, 100,000 miles for the diesel engine, and there's actually a 5 years of the structure for the crane, and there's a 3 years for the paint of that manufactured parts, and another 1 year for any other little spots to be a warranty for that crane.
And my favorite question, is this in our budget?
Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. And it is a buy board price. We did look at different trucks. This one is a 24, but it only has 500 miles on it. We can get it now. If we got a newer one, it'd be 6 to 9 months out. So we're excited to get it. Yeah.
So
we still get the same warranty.
So it's in our current budget.
Yes, sir. There's some funds there.
And I can say, council, adding this to the fleet, again, when you see them working, one time you would say it was a good investment, just like the other piece of equipment we've added. So it's taken us time to add these things, but we know every year or every time we have this reoccurring event, our guys feel like we always be second or third on the list, because sometimes it's not a priority. And sometimes these repairs are timely, so this allows not to have to babysit certain areas when we can have the equipment on site to make the repairs. So it's the credit to the guys to be able to shop and be on the lookout for things like this, to know when we bring you numbers during the budget, is to let you know this is some of the line item expenses. If we go back, you'll see some line items that are pretty high, and over time we can say this is a way of trying to save, but also give them equipment to do the jobs more safely and efficient.
Yeah. No, when I got on in 2019, one of the questions I asked was in regards to the amount of money we were paying to rent stuff compared to purchasing. And I think, matter of fact, I remember what it was. It was the street machine. It was something we were renting the street. You know what I'm talking about? It was like this street machine or something that we kept paying all this money for to rent. I was like, so y'all let us know when it's more affordable to buy it versus renting it, and or whatever. But we were talking about that way back then, about when that timeline of shifting from renting to purchasing because the workload changes, and so. Yeah.
And just to add to is that we did do some math, and I do believe it'd be paid off. It's at least 4 years it'd be paying for itself. And I'm sure we have more numbers. It'd be probably a lot less than that.
Do we already have someone prepared to be the operator of this vehicle?
Yes, ma'am. We sure do. It's pretty simple. It's not it's not too hard to operate, but they will, I'm sure we'll go through the whole training of how it's extended and make sure you don't overextend or if it needs some anchoring and stuff like that.
And you will have someone in training for a backup person?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You can see several of them are excited. I think they're going to be all in line. Can I run it? And I wanted to also add, this will also help us start doing more preventive maintenance. Instead of us having what we call rags in the sewer pumps and stuff, that we can actually do that on a monthly basis, pull them, clean it out, put them back in. So that's something that we're really trying to gear towards more in our department, where we do more preventive maintenance.
Not wait to have 22 hydrants that are leaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
37.
Any other questions or motion?
Is there room to store this vehicle?
Yes, ma'am. It's really, if you've ever seen those trucks, it's just a 4-door truck that's got the utility bed with a crane. So we'll be able to park it right where our other fleet is at.
Yeah, it looks like the one that looks like a white truck
Yes.
with a bunch of compartments in
Yes,
the
sir.
arm. Yeah, I pulled it up to make sure I knew what I was looking at. Yeah.
And you'll see it's usually a crane on the very back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like y'all have a lot, and so if your garage space is getting kind of tight, then
Yeah, that's something we definitely need to work towards, a garage.
They don't have a
some
garage.
space,
Yeah. I'm like, they got a garage? Where's the garage?
That was me.
They're
It's
parking
definitely on
lot.
the radar. 'Cause, yeah, it's a good point because there's equipment that needs to stay warm during the winter months.
Other questions or motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the purchase of a crane service body truck with Rockdale Country Ford for an amount not to exceed $165,730.
Well, motion on the floor by Councilwoman Wallace. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much. You'll see the smiles.
Second by Councilwoman Weir. Any questions to the motion? No questions to the motion? It's always good to see y'all come out and hang out with us. So thank y'all for being here. Thank you for doing the work in the report as well. Come anytime.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, no questions to the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much.
Consideration, discussion, possible action on amendment to the City of Maynard, Texas Public Improvement PID policy. All right.
That's not me.
Did I skip one? Oh, okay, I went too fast. I was wondering why you were staying there. All right, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a construction agreement for road improvements of the city portions of roadway on Suncrest and Johnson Road. We talked about this a while back, about that stretch. And council members, I think y'all brought some images. I don't know if it was here or a workshop, and you had the different parts. One part was ours, one part was county, and we talked about kind of the residential complaints, and then you all showed us some maps, or actually some figures and CIP figures in regards to this plan, that plan, and how it would unfold.
Yes, sir. And there's some attachments too that you can see some of those pictures, and it's got the footage on there. And then it'd be great. We had Travis County come out, like you had said. They did their portions, and there's little spots that are ours. So we wanted to make sure we make it uniform, and it needs the work.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yes, sir.
Questions or motion?
Mayor Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the construction agreement with Texas Materials Group, Inc. to complete the milling, patchwork, pavement overlay, and striping of the city's portion of Suncrest Road and Johnson Road, and authorize the city manager to execute the construction agreement in an amount not to exceed $180,234.20.
Well, motion on the floor by Councilman Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilwoman Wallace. Any questions to the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. All right. Thank you, sir. Now, number 9, what's that? 20, consideration, discussion, possible action on amendment to the City of Maynard, Texas Public Improvement PID District Policy. Looks like we're asking for, staff has recommends that council give direction to city staff regarding the amendment to the PID policy. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Veronica Rivera, Assistant City Attorney. This item was postponed from the last city council meeting so that a red line could be provided to you with proposed changes. You have that in your backup. If you'd like, I can go through the red line and provide you information on the revisions that we're not that we're recommending, but that it was at the direction of PID committee and also some city council members. And then we did have comments from city staff. Mr. Jones could not be here, but he did include some comments that were also incorporated into that red line. The one thing that wasn't incorporated that he had included was disclosure aiming at commercial properties. That is not required. This is a requirement by state statute for home buyers, and so that's why there were no changes made in the red line provided. But he did want to stress that Mr. Jones, of course, wants to stress that this amendment should include more commercial language or future amendments because it's his opinion that more commercial PIDs will be coming to you in the future.
Yes, ma'am. I do have a question in regards to developmental standards number 1, where we have the additional drainage facilities. I think we had some sidebar conversations about that informally. I want to make sure that it's not drainage over parks and trails. So can someone kind of walk through that language for that number 1?
So again, all of my papers. So this was included in there because of comments received. So if I'm understanding you correctly, Mayor, you want further clarification that it's not drainage facilities over parks and trails?
No, I want to
I'm
make
sorry.
sure, because how it reads, let me read it one more time. Project must include improvements that enhance the city's master plan, including the city's thoroughfare plan and water wastewater plans, drainage facilities, and enhance city trails, parks, and parkland, open space. So in most of our PIDs, we get a lot of park land, but we also get a lot of land that's donated, but it's really drainage spaces. And so I just want to make sure. I think we, correct me if I'm wrong, council members, but I thought we had some conversations about more of the land being park related stuff, trail related stuff, than actual focusing on. Not saying we don't need the drainage, just saying that when we're talking about the contributions back because of the PID, that we're getting more park land for parks, open space, and walkable trails and that kind of thing. Is that kind of what we talked about?
Yeah, I think, wasn't that during our budget meeting? Yeah, that's exactly what we talked about.
So do we want to remove drainage facilities? Because we did include that they would have parkland, open space, and walkable
Well,
trails.
I guess the question is, in the they have to do drainage already in the code, right?
Yes, sir.
So this would guess would be a question to y'all staff in regards to, do we need to have that listed also in there if it's already a requirement on the code for drainage?
I think if you look at drainage facilities, it depends on the aesthetics too. Because sometimes, if you look up at Home Depot, they have it's a maintenance thing, and it's more. If you have drainage facilities, I think you want to look at the maintenance piece of it too, because if you don't have the line with concrete or something, you get the sunflowers and all that stuff growing in it. So if that's something we want to make sure it doesn't become a maintenance or eyesore for the development, we can put drainage facilities would be make sure those boxes are cleaned out some way we can get in there safely. And if that's something we need to make sure that's addressed, it doesn't leave the question of you got your detention, you got your drainage, but how do you maintain those facilities?
And maybe we also didn't address just code then, and have some conversation in regards to code for drainage facilities, and require certain level developments to have that higher standard of drainage. So we don't incentivize. So we're not doing, because the PID to me is an economic tool. And so when we use the economic tool, we got to look at what we're getting back for it, advancing the economics for this PID project to work. And so getting back what they should already be doing in drainage and water and wastewater stuff, you know, I don't think is a great usage. So my direction would be to maybe address code for larger facilities and larger developments that have a higher level of drainage expectations. So to have prevention for those flower beds, or, you know, the wildlife, the grass that grows so thick that like off a Ring Drive, all that grass that, you know, is blocking the flow of the water. You know, I would say just have a higher, a better code for that.
After we did take a look at it and reading it the way it says that enhancing the drainage facility. So that'd probably be a good thing to have in there. So if we can take advantage of fixing some of our drainage issues.
Yeah, because I say when you, excuse me.
No,
I say when you go to some other commercials, and I'm thinking about the one in Bastrop. When you look at their detention, it's kind of lined with some nice. It fits with the development. I think if you look over where Bojangles is going to go, where they kind of have some rocks already kind of set up, so we know if that's going to be the standard, we can say this is what we want. So it doesn't come back to where you have a maintenance issue for the developer or for the city to have to enforce the violation. It could be more of a aesthetic improvement that's part of a code. So it doesn't come back to, I didn't know what you meant, and we can always point to those developments to say this is what they already have in place for us to follow.
The other thing I would like to give direction on is ensuring that there's a financial model in place. I understand what Jones was adding, the commercial development in the piece, because that can help with the overall cost of the project. If the PID is including certain projects that generate a certain ad valorem, then the community we just created is self-sustaining with maintenance costs and those kinds of things. So, but I like to make sure, like somewhere in the policy, that we're talking about the predicted financial valuation of the PID project. Basically, when it's built, the build out costs would have to cover maintenance and future maintenance and streets, drainage, water, wastewater fixes and stuff like that. The project takes care of itself, so that we don't have to, you know, amend budgets and different things like that, because the project's not generating enough income. So just taking into consideration, you know, the city's cost of adding that project in, from water, wastewater to streets, police, you know, all of that.
So to answer that comment, Mayor, we can definitely add, and I'll have to find a section to add that in there with regard to entering then into a development agreement when you're having when a developer is requesting a PID. The development agreement we would be looking at that valuation and making sure that staff and developer enter into either license agreements or other documents where all of the items that you mentioned are covered or are self-sustaining, or because of the ad valorem taxes that are coming in, that city will have enough financial assets coming in to have that taken care of. So we can definitely do that through a development agreement that we would be bringing back to you.
Okay. Other questions, comments?
If I may, I also meant to just clarify on some of the items that we put in here because of input from Mr. Jones. If you look on page 2, or I don't know the page numbering in your back of materials, but it's the second page of the policy. There's a red line at the very top where it says a cost of 50 to 75 per residential lot, 100 to 150 for commercial lot. We did have information that your financial advisor had provided for residential lots, but we do not have information with regard to commercial lots. So at first we had only included $200, and the economic director mentioned that was not sufficient, so that's why we went ahead and put 200 to 300. But again, that is also your decision to make on whether that is sufficient, or if we need to look at having a larger range for y'all to decide when a commercial PID comes to you or a multifamily PID comes to you. I can tell you that most of the time it wouldn't just be a multifamily, it'll be combination, and the same thing for commercial. But most of the PIDs that you have approved previously, except for Entrada Glen, have been residential, and those are the main ones that the city has done. Entrada Glen was a commercial PID. That is a little bit more difficult, and you can tell that it took us a long time to get to that. But again, that's why there isn't really much background to determine what kind of fee we're looking at. So that's why we provided you a range. But again, it's your decision to make on whether that range works or not, or if you'd like to make it 200 to 500. Or other numbers. And then the other item that I just wanted to point out, but I think you probably notice it, is item number 5 under development standards. That was something that, of course, your economic development director requested. And then there is only one other item that I wanted to point out, which is under maximum assessment. That's on page 3. In the second time that we revised or that we amended the city's PID policy, state statute had changed with regard to the your taxes and the cap on property taxes. So 326 is what we had, a combined tax rate, and then in the second amendment we added or a PID rate of 30 cents because we didn't want the fact that now you had a lower property rate and then your developer was going to come in and take advantage of that and go all the way up to 326. However, because of all of the changes that are going on right now with the tariffs and with the interest rates and everything else, we actually had one developer's legal counsel ask if the city council would consider increasing the rate. You've already had, I think we've had 2 PIDs. That one of them was for Mustang Valley, where you are aware that we had already approved a 35 cent, I think, or more than that. And then Manor Heights, because it started, or the PID was created prior to the amendment that we did, the second amendment, they're at 33. So I just wanted to point those out for your consideration if you wanted to change that, but that is not something that we've done. It's just a comment that was made by one of the developers' legal counsel.
Thank you much. Additional questions? All right. Well, I think you have some direction. Move on to item number 21. Consider discussion of possible action. Oh, well, y'all tell me something.
You mean more than that?
I'm trying to get through it. All right. City Council will now hold on, where's my? All right. City Council will now convene into executive sessions pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. All right, see you all in a bit.
Hey, council.
Mic on. Time is 8:40. City Council will now reconvene to open session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. Take action, if any, on items discussed during closed executive session. Council members, before we go back into executive session, I'd like to pause for a moment at the request of Mayor Pro Tem Emily Hill and allow for this young lady to address and share who she is at City Council. So, yes, ma'am.
Oh, hi. My name is Kristen Salazar, and I go to Timberview High School, and I'm here for a community college class.
Okay. All right.
And I needed proof that I was here.
Well, now you're on video, and you're on the minutes, and then we'll go ahead and take a photo with you. Okay. All right, come on.
We're giving you all the proof. Yeah.
All right, City Council will now convene into executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. All right, everyone, the time is 10:03 p.m. City Council now reconvene to open session pursuant to the provisions of Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Take action, if any. Item number 21 is pulled, and we are now going to adjourn at 10:03 p.m.